Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle, renowned for his deep faith, humility, and unwavering commitment to serving others, has long been a key figure in the Catholic Church. His leadership as Archbishop of Manila and President of Caritas Internationalis earned him global admiration for his compassionate service to the poor and his dedication to social justice. However, in 2023, a shocking decision from Pope Francis saw Tagle removed from his position at Caritas Internationalis, a move that left many stunned and questioning the future of the Church's outreach efforts. This unexpected shift, amidst ongoing organizational restructuring, marks a pivotal moment in the life of one of the Church's most influential figures, leaving the faithful to reflect on the evolving dynamics of Church leadership. A humble beginning. The path to priesthood. Luis Antonio Tagle's story is one of profound faith and commitment to service that began long before he ever set foot in the Vatican. Born in Manila, a bustling metropolis in the Philippines, Tagle grew up in a close-knit religious family. Despite the family's modest means, the Tagle household was deeply committed to their Catholic faith, a devotion that would profoundly influence Luis Antonio's upbringing. In the vibrant streets of Manila, Tagle's early life was marked by a spirit of community and a strong sense of social responsibility, values that would define his entire priesthood. Interestingly, Tagle did not initially aspire to the priesthood. As a young man, he dreamed of becoming a doctor, a vocation that seemed to align with his deep desire to help people. However, in a twist of fate that Tagle often refers to as God's light-hearted sense of humor, he was guided towards seminary studies. Tagle was persuaded to consider the priesthood, a decision that would ultimately lead him on a journey that would take him from the streets of Manila to the highest echelons of the Catholic Church. His decision to join the seminary was not a mere academic pursuit. It was the beginning of a lifelong dedication to service, community building, and faith. Education and early ministry, theological foundations. Tagle's academic journey was equally exceptional. He pursued theological and philosophical studies at the prestigious Ateneo de Manila University in the late 1970s, under the mentorship of the Jesuits, who were renowned for their commitment to rigorous academic standards and social reform. During his time at Ateneo, Tagle excelled not only in his academic pursuits, but also in his understanding of the Church's role in society. His studies in theology provided a solid foundation for his later work in the Church, but it was his focus on social justice, inspired by the Jesuits' teachings, that would become a cornerstone of his future leadership. After earning both a bachelor's and master's degree in theology, Tagle was ordained as a priest in 1982. Rather than strictly adhering to tradition, he emphasized the importance of building deep relationships with people, ministering to them with compassion, and meeting them where they were in their lives. His approach to the priesthood was one that combined intellectual rigor with a pastoral heart, a balance that allowed him to connect with a wide range of individuals, from the most vulnerable to the most influential. Leadership and appointment as Bishop of Iba. In 2001, Pope John Paul II appointed Tagle as the Bishop of Iba, a position that allowed him to further develop his skills as a leader and spiritual guide. His work as Bishop of Iba was marked by his humility, his willingness to engage with the people, and his ability to navigate complex social and political issues. It was during this time that Tagle's reputation as a compassionate leader who put the needs of his flock above all else began to grow. In 2011, Pope Benedict XVI elevated Tagle to the position of Archbishop of Manila, one of the most prestigious and influential roles in the Catholic Church. As Archbishop, Tagle became a widely recognized figure, not just in the Philippines, but on the global stage. His leadership style, marked by a blend of compassion, firmness, and deep theological understanding, resonated with many. He was known for his ability to balance the spiritual and pastoral needs of his community with the broader, more systemic issues facing the Church. Tagle's work with Caritas Internationalis. In addition to his role as Archbishop, Tagle's influence expanded on the international stage through his work with Caritas Internationalis, the global federation of Catholic relief and development organizations. Founded in 1951, Caritas Internationalis is dedicated to promoting social justice, assisting the poorest and most vulnerable people in society, and advocating for sustainable development. Tagle became the president of Caritas Internationalis in 2015, taking on the immense responsibility of overseeing the Federation's extensive network of humanitarian programs, which spanned across more than 200 countries and territories. His appointment to this role was a testament to his deep understanding of both theology and social issues, as well as his remarkable ability to bring together people from diverse backgrounds and cultures to work toward a common goal. During his tenure, Tagle was instrumental in directing the organization's efforts to provide disaster relief, support development programs, and advocate for the rights of marginalized populations. His leadership was characterized by his ability to inspire, his focus on human dignity, and his commitment to working in solidarity with the poorest and most vulnerable communities. The shocking dismissal, a Vatican restructuring. In 2023, Cardinal Tagle's tenure as president of Caritas Internationalis came to an unexpected and abrupt end. Pope Francis, in a move that shocked many in the Catholic community, ordered a complete restructuring of the leadership of Caritas Internationalis. This decision, which was publicly announced in a Vatican statement, included the removal of Cardinal Tagle from his role as president and the appointment of a temporary administrator. The reason for the restructuring, according to the Vatican, stemmed from an independent performance audit commissioned by the Vatican's Dicastery for Promoting Integral Human Development. The audit, which involved external experts, revealed serious deficiencies in management and organizational procedures within Caritas Internationalis. While there was no evidence of financial misconduct or sexual abuse, the audit identified issues that had undermined the organization's effectiveness and employee morale. Although the decision to remove Tagle was not directly related to any personal wrongdoing, it raised questions about the future of Caritas Internationalis and the impact of the restructuring on the organization's global mission. Pope Francis emphasized that the move was made to strengthen the organization and to ensure that it operated in accordance with the highest standards of governance and best practices. Tagle's response: a call for humility and reflection. In the aftermath of the announcement, Cardinal Tagle addressed the Caritas Internationalis leadership team in a handover conference in Rome. In his speech, he emphasized that the restructuring was not related to any financial mismanagement or misconduct of any kind, reiterating this point 3 times for clarity. He expressed gratitude to the outgoing leadership team, particularly to the Secretary General Aloysius John, who was notably absent from the gathering. Tagle framed the restructuring as an opportunity for personal and organizational reflection, calling for humility and discernment. He invited the members of Caritas Internationalis to embrace a spirit of liberation, to confront their weaknesses, and to work together in the pursuit of their mission to serve the poor and marginalized. In his address, Tagle reiterated that the decree was intended to help the organization better align with the values of the gospel, particularly in the areas of governance, management, and accountability. Tagle's leadership legacy and the future of Caritas Internationalis. Cardinal Tagle's leadership legacy is one that will be remembered for its focus on compassion, justice, and service to the poor. His journey from the streets of Manila to the Vatican was one of dedication, humility, and deep faith, and his work with Caritas Internationalis has left an indelible mark on the organization. While the restructuring of Caritas may have been seen as a blow to Tagle's reputation, it is important to note that his removal was not due to any personal wrongdoing. Rather, it was a reflection of the need for change within the organization, a change that Pope Francis believed would ultimately strengthen its mission. As for the future of Caritas Internationalis, the Vatican has appointed a temporary administrator to oversee the organization, while preparations are made for the election of a new president in May 2023. The restructuring process is intended to address the identified issues, enhance governance standards, and ensure that Caritas can continue to serve the poorest and most vulnerable people around the world effectively. A complex legacy. The removal of Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle from his leadership role at Caritas Internationalis is a significant moment in the history of the Catholic Church. While the decision may have been controversial, it is important to recognize that Tagle's legacy is not defined by this single event. His rise from humble beginnings in Manila to a position of international influence was marked by his unwavering commitment to service, his deep understanding of social justice, and his ability to inspire others to work toward a common good. As the Church continues to evolve and as new leaders emerge, Tagle's story serves as a reminder of the importance of humility, discernment, and a deep commitment to serving those in need. His leadership in the Church, both locally and globally, has left a lasting impact, and his example will continue to inspire generations of Catholics and people of faith worldwide. The leadership overhaul and transition at the Vatican. The leadership overhaul within the Vatican was a significant event, one that not only reshaped the administrative structure of the Church, but also positioned key figures for future roles. This massive transition required the entire Secretariat to vacate their positions, creating a moment of uncertainty, but also opening up the possibility for change. To manage this period of flux, Pope Francis appointed Pier Francesco Pinelli as interim administrator, tasked with overseeing an audit and ensuring the smooth operation of the Secretariat. Pinelli's role was pivotal in stabilizing the situation and ensuring that the transition could proceed without disruption. In the midst of these changes, the Vatican was preparing for a crucial event, the General Assembly of 2023. This was expected to be the occasion where a new president would be officially chosen to replace Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle, a prominent Filipino figure in the Catholic Church. This was a transitional period, and while a new leadership structure was being put into place, Pope Francis assigned Cardinal Tagle the important responsibility of assisting Pinelli with the transition. This dual role meant that Cardinal Tagle was not only helping to guide the administrative processes, but also fulfilling his duties as prefect for the section of evangelization within the dicastery for evangelization. Pope Francis. A spiritual leader and diplomatic power. Pope Francis is often regarded as one of the most significant spiritual leaders in the world. As the head of the Catholic Church, a body comprising over 1.3 billion adherents, the Pope holds immense responsibility. Beyond the Church's spiritual leadership, the Pope also plays an influential role in global affairs, guiding not only his faithful, but also offering moral counsel on international issues. His role as Vicar of Christ on earth makes him a central figure in both the Church and broader society. In the spiritual realm, Pope Francis's role as the highest authority on Catholic doctrine is unmatched. His pronouncements on faith and teachings are considered definitive, and his apostolic letters, encyclicals, and homilies have shaped both the Church's direction and broader moral discourse. As the Church's principal theological guide, he is tasked with ensuring that the Catholic community remains true to the faith while also responding to the complexities of the modern world. This balance between tradition and progress is a hallmark of his pontificate. Pope Francis's emphasis on mercy, compassion, and inclusion has resonated deeply with not only Catholics, but also people from various religious and secular backgrounds. He has made significant strides in modernizing the Church, moving away from rigid traditions and focusing more on empathy and social justice. His decision to open up dialogue with marginalized communities, such as the LQB+ community, and to call for greater environmental stewardship, exemplifies his pastoral approach to leadership. The role of the Pope. A sacred and heavy responsibility. To hold the papacy is to take on a unique and profound responsibility, one that is guided not only by the traditions of the Church, but by a deep sense of divine calling. The Pope is considered to be the earthly representative of Christ, the Vicar of Christ, and as such, he is seen as a spiritual leader to all Catholics. This sacred responsibility goes beyond doctrinal matters. It is intertwined with a sense of service to humanity, a calling to be a voice for the voiceless, and to stand as a moral leader in a world that is increasingly divided. The Pope's role is multifaceted, involving spiritual guidance, doctrinal leadership, and administrative duties. The position of Pope is more than just a title. It is a commitment to shepherding millions of people toward faith and salvation. Pope Francis, in particular, has exemplified this through his deep humility, which has become one of the defining characteristics of his papacy. His leadership style contrasts sharply with that of some of his predecessors, as he has focused more on simplicity, accessibility, and outreach to the disenfranchised. At the heart of the papacy lies the duty of moral leadership. The Pope's decisions on matters of faith, social justice, and the Church's role in society have far-reaching consequences. His pronouncements are often seen as moral compass points for the global community, guiding the actions of leaders and citizens alike. Pope Francis has used his position to call for systemic change within the Church itself, seeking reforms in areas such as financial accountability and the handling of sexual abuse cases. He has also worked tirelessly to promote a more inclusive and synodal approach to governance within the Church, emphasizing the importance of listening to the voices of those often excluded from decision-making processes. The emergence of Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle as a potential successor. Speculation about who will succeed Pope Francis has been a topic of much discussion, especially as rumors circulate about the Pope's potential resignation due to health issues. One of the most frequently mentioned names in this regard is Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle, the current prefect for the Congregation for the Evangelization of Peoples. Cardinal Tagle, often referred to as the Asian Francis due to his progressive views and pastoral warmth, is seen as a potential successor who could carry forward the mission of Pope Francis. Born in the Philippines, Cardinal Tagle's rise in the Church has been nothing short of remarkable. He is the first Filipino to be elevated to the rank of Cardinal Bishop, a title that places him among the most senior cardinals in the Catholic Church. His humility, intellectual prowess, and deep spirituality have earned him the respect and admiration of his peers, and he has become a globally recognized figure in the Catholic world. One of the defining features of Cardinal Tagle's leadership is his ability to communicate complex theological concepts in a way that is accessible and engaging. He is known for his storytelling ability, which has made him an effective communicator both within the Church and beyond. His emotional intelligence and deep empathy have allowed him to connect with people from all walks of life, and he has earned the trust of many within the Church for his ability to foster dialogue and understanding. Criticism and challenges to Cardinal Tagle's potential papacy. While Cardinal Tagle is widely respected and admired, his potential candidacy for the papacy is not without its critics. There are several concerns that have been raised by those within the Church, particularly among members of the College of Cardinals. One of the main criticisms revolves around his relative lack of experience within the Vatican's bureaucratic apparatus. Although Tagle has held significant positions within the Church, some argue that his relatively short tenure at the Vatican may leave him less prepared to navigate the complex and often political environment of the Roman Curia. Another concern is the fear that electing a pope with views similar to Pope Francis could prolong what some critics view as a divisive direction within the Church. Pope Francis's reforms, particularly on issues like sexuality, the role of women in the Church, and the handling of abuse cases, have drawn criticism from more conservative factions. Some argue that a pope who continues in this progressive vein could alienate traditionalists and further fragment the global Church. There are also geopolitical considerations at play. The Catholic Church is undergoing a demographic shift, with growing Catholic populations in Africa and Latin America. Some believe that electing an Asian pope could be seen as less relevant in the context of the Church's expanding presence in these regions. Additionally, Cardinal Tagle's Filipino heritage could complicate the Vatican's delicate relationship with China, a country with which the Church has historically had tensions.